We'll break down all the details in what some are calling the best MLP series of all time.
And guess what? There's gonna be goats in New York City running around Central Park. I'll tell you what that means, and it's gonna be awesome.
And we'll show you who the regular season champions, the St. Louis Shock, picked to face in the semifinals. All that and more coming up next on Inside Major League Pickleball. Welcome to Inside Major League Pickleball Playoff Finals Edition. I am Will Daughton, joined by three-time MLP champion general manager Dave Fleming. Dave, we're coming off a wild weekend in San Diego. The playoffs began, and what an event it was. Tell us about your impressions from California.
It was just great to be out there, and the tension of the playoffs, you could feel it. It was packed to the rafters. The crowd was going bananas. We even had J.W. Johnson flexing out there. That's how good that was. And, you know, the four teams from Premier and the two from Challenger that are going to New York earned every part of it.
They certainly did earn it. We'll go through a quick recap of MLP San Diego, starting with the series that Zane Navratil called on Twitter as the best MLP series of all time so far. Dallas Flash taking on the Columbus Sliders. And Dave, we have to talk about the decision that Dallas made to play Columbus when the Texas Rangers were still on the table. Obviously, it didn't pay off, but what stands out to you from that decision, from that whole discourse? Because that was a huge topic of conversation this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing was the Flash are this family unit. They won it last year. They're undefeated. They win the midseason tournament. So it is hard to question the way they have run the operation. However, sometimes you need to step in and just make a decision and look at things beyond what the players want to do, because sometimes you need one general in there. So I think they used the collective. If anyone watched the Texas versus Miami match, you still didn't see Peak play Texas, and they didn't have to make the choice before that. I mean, they scrapped a 21-19 with all due respect to Miami. So you're like, this team is wounded. There was all sorts of camaraderie issues with that team, and they made the wrong choice. That is not up for debate. But they're still the favorites in that matchup. And to get a triple Dreambreaker series was unbelievable. So we, as pickleball fans, wildly benefited from this. It would have been the Fives having to scrap with the Ranchers had the decision gone that way. So yes, they deserve to be scrutinized to the hilt for the decision, but we as Pickleball Nation benefited.
And we talk about Dallas making that decision as well. We also have to talk about Columbus. I mean, Andre Daescu going 5-1 in doubles. We know he's the team captain. He certainly showed it on the court there. Him and Paris Todd getting two must-win matches over Georgia and J.W. Johnson, the consensus number 2 mixed doubles team in the world, just to even force those dream breakers. And then C.J. Klinger, 19 years old, comes onto the court, 18-18 against the lefty Augie Ga, and he just clutches it out. Just what a moment for the Sliders.
It really was, because being there, and they were like, you know, you picked us was the theme, and Andre just he would not leave the court. He's not going to go to another court and warm up before his match. He's there. He's sitting. He wanted it to be a relaxing day, binging a show. The minute there's problem, he stands up, talks to somebody. So their bench absolutely won versus Dallas, and they wanted it. And even Leia Jansen, who was struggling in doubles the first two, goes out and put 8-0 on Tyra, and they had to have every one of those as well. So when one player took a step back, the other three picked the rest of the team up. And the bench was huge for Columbus to just have that camaraderie. On the other side, they butchered the last Dreambreaker with bad challenges. When you lose 21-18 and one of those points was a gift because you were out of free challenges. You got to be kidding me. So that just cannot happen, and the defending champs go home. And it's not just because of the decision, as you said. The sliders played fantastic. They deserve to be there.
In Columbus, I mean, you said every team that's going to New York had to earn it. Columbus certainly earned it. I mean, they're battle-tested, and that's only going to bode well for them because they sure have their work cut out for them in the Big Apple, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the other 3 quarterfinals at the Premier level, all 2-0 sweeps. The St. Louis Shock beating Orlando, the New Jersey Fives beating Texas, like you talked about. Then the LA Mad Drops, the number 6 seed, beating the Brooklyn Pickleball team 2-0. And it was just a dominant display. Obviously, Brooklyn had Dekel Barr returning from injury, didn't quite look like himself, the version of himself that we're used to seeing. But Ben Johns goes 44-13 in his 4 games. I mean, that type of scoreline against a high-quality team like Brooklyn is just insane. He seems to be really finding his groove with his new partners in Hunter Johnson and Catherine Parento.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is the nightmare for the other 3 teams, is that the GOAT is now fully on the top of his game within Major League Pickleball. So we had the Kawamoto Bowl there with that, and the women's match went 1 each, and that was a 50-50 matchup for me. So the question was, what is going to happen with Ben? Does he have the camaraderie with the other 2? And boy, did he ever. So they're a nightmare and a dream breaker too. So here's the thing. If Ben grabs his 2, then you've got to deal with Ben in the 2 slot for singles, because Hunter Johnson will usually go first, Catherine Parento, and then Jade Kawamoto in 4 singles points is terrific as well. So even though they're the 6th seed, they keep not getting chosen for all of those reasons, and that's why they are not going to play the Shock, even though the Sliders are the 5th seed.
And you know they're going to be out for revenge as well, even having lost to New Jersey, who they will play in New York. We'll get to that in a few minutes. So we're through San Diego, now in New York, like you just said. We're going to the Big Apple. The road ends here. It's the DoorDash MLP Finals, New York City, powered by Toray. And it's at City Pickle in Woolman Rink, Central Park. You can't ask for a better venue. That's August 22nd through the 24th. So we'll go through the 2 semifinal premier matchups and, of course, the Challenger final matchup as well. Starting with the St. Louis Shock taking on the Columbus Sliders. St. Louis, they chose Columbus, and you can't blame them because they did not want to choose the LA Mad Drops. But this regular season series, it was 2-0 for St. Louis, but one of those matches, CJ Klinger wasn't there for Columbus. So really, 2 teams who aren't super familiar with each other in terms of having reps competing against each other.
Well, first of all, I know the St. Louis Shock are going to be ticked off at us. We didn't even mention them barely at the beginning as the regular season champs, and they win 2-0. We'll get to you. Settle down, Shock and awe. Here's the deal with them. They play with so much fire, confidence, swagger. Last year, they got a bye out of the quarters into the semis. They walk into that, and they did not play great. The weight of the expectations, and Dallas bounces them right out of the playoffs last year. Now they've got a win under their belt against Orlando Squeeze, who didn't have Dylan Frazier. Grayson Golden brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm to that. So the Shock are coming out here ready to go. The question I have for them is Anna Bright and Kate Fehee did not play well at all in the second game of that series when they got beat pretty handily by Lacey Schneeman and Millie Rain. So I'm sure they're looking at a lot of that. But what they've got is, okay, we dropped that one. All we do is send out precocious teenagers to go wreck whoever is in their path. It's unbelievable. And Tardio and H, just too good.
I mean, they just continue to impress. And Andre Descu and CJ Klinger have played better as the season has gone on for Columbus. As we know, they've won a Carvana PPA Tour title together. But the question here is, last time they played in St. Louis, it was 3-1 in favor of the Shock. But Columbus was the home team there. Now you've got St. Louis, and on paper, both of these teams are very strong Dreambreaker teams. I mean, Kate Fehee and Anna Bright for the Shock, Leia Jansen and Paris Todd, we know how good both of them are. So, Dave, my question for you is, if we see a Dreambreaker, and honestly, selfishly, for the pickleball community,
Yeah.
I hope we do. Who do you give the edge to in that singles contest if we see it?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to how did we get there for me. So who was playing well in the doubles, who's carrying a little baggage because maybe they thought, I need to close this out. I didn't. Now do I have confidence to go play 4 singles points? I mean, we've even talked to Annalee Waters about she gets nervous in Dreambreaker rallies. So you have this, I mean, it's already a boiling cauldron. Then you go out there and you get 4 rallies. So you don't want any visits to the freebie factory whatsoever. No missed serve because it's rally scoring. That rings the register. No missed returns. Make them earn it on the other side. So to answer your question, it is literally as 50-50 as it gets because I think Kate versus Paris is kind of a wash, and then Anna Bright doesn't play a lot of singles, but she just played Leia Jansen in the preparation for this, a tight 3-game thriller that Anna Bright got at the end against Leia Jansen. So I don't have an answer to that because literally every line is about the same player.
When you have Dave Fleming unable to answer a question like that, you know it's going to be 50-50.
Yes.
A lot of it going to come down to the guys. Gabe Tardio has a PPA men's singles gold. Hayden Patchwin can play. Andre Daescu showed what he can do, and CJ Klinger, obviously the clutch gene. So cannot wait. Even if we don't get a dream breaker, we know this series is going to be must-watch pickleball.
For sure.
As is our next premier semifinal. It's the New Jersey Fives, LA Mad Drops, Ben Johns versus Annalee Waters for a spot in the final. What more could you want?
Nothing. I mean, so it's wild how, going back to Dallas, who loves that we're going to keep bringing this up, I'm sure, the fact that they chose the sliders starts to put pieces in a little different spot on the chessboard than we expected because now, Dallas isn't the 2 seed. New Jersey is, so then we do get the GOAT v. GOAT matchup that you just mentioned, and this is going to be fascinating. They played the best match of the year by a mile. We had the roar of all pickleball of all time at 20 all here in Dallas. Out comes Catherine Parento on one side of the court. Out comes Annalee Waters on the other side. And everyone just stood up and screamed. And this was the flash mob, mind you. Neither team had home court advantage there. I was calling it. Every hair on my arm just stood. I mean, it was so great. And I think we're going to get to see a lot of that again. The place is going to be going crazy in New York. So will we get Annalee versus Ben in mixed is the interesting thing for me. So for the first 2 matches, the Fives are the home team. So they're the ones that'll get to decide. And it was 11-4 for Annalee and Will Howes against Ben and Catherine. So maybe they will give what all of us want and see them on either side of the net.
So we've looked at the matchups for the premier level semifinals, but who are the players to watch? Who needs to step up? Who's going to play a big role in these wins? Starting off with St. Louis versus Columbus, I'm going with Leia Jansen. She struggled a little bit in doubles in the quarterfinals, played great in singles in the second and third Dream Breakers, and specifically her and CJ Klinger looking for their first win of the playoffs together. They are a very capable team. I think this could be a big weekend for Leia Jansen, and it will need to be for them to beat the Shock.
And on the Shock side, I'm looking at Kate Fehee. Here's the deal. Most improved player deserves it from where her game was at the beginning of the year all the way to the end. Played very well. However, as I mentioned earlier, she and Anna Bright dropped one of their matchups against the Squeeze. She is the least accomplished player on that team, and that is a huge bar. So that is not a shot at Kate at all, but she knows she's going to see a lot of balls in both the women's match and in the mixed match. Is she able to step up and deliver? She has in singles throughout her career. This is a big opportunity to see it in doubles.
And for our second semifinal, I'll go with Noe Cliff of the New Jersey Fives. He's the newest acquisition starting to find some good wins with Will Howells, and him and Megan Dizon are going to also need to be sharp against two very good mixed doubles teams for LA.
And I'm going to take Hunter Johnson. So we took ladies in the one series, we got the fellas in the other. Here's why. Playing with Ben is a blessing and a privilege, but it also comes with all the pressure. So I think they looked a lot better in San Diego. And then he and Jade Kawamoto have to deliver in mix. They were actually the only thing that held the Mad Drops together last year. Now they're together again. You've got Ben and Catherine who are going to be terrific. So if we get the best Hunter, man, could the 6th seed win it all? They just might if Hunter is at the top of his game.
Finishing it off with the Challenger final, Las Vegas versus Nashville. But just kind of look at the head-to-head stats here, Dave. It was 5-1 in favor of Las Vegas, but 5 of those 6 matches went to a dream breaker. These teams, they both can play good singles, and they certainly love to do it, as we see from the head-to-head record.
Yeah, and this matchup is fascinating stylistically. You have big tennis games coming to the court from the Las Vegas Night Owls, and they've been the favorite all year long. How do they carry that? They've got the MVP, the MIP, they've got every M and put a letter in the middle of that. And I think for them, I want to see how Pablo Tejas plays. He was terrific in San Diego, really active. Bert's and Ernie's and Sesame Street everywhere. I loved every part of that. We'll see if the youngster Delgado, in the most pressure-packed pickleball he's ever played, will step up. And then I just love the chefs, my goodness, because you have such unique styles. Marshall Brown has a unique style. Anderson Scarpa, very unique style. Even his grip on the paddle, how he hits the ball from that position. And they brought in Jeannie Irakina, taking Michelle Esquivel's spot. Her and Eva Radzikowska, very tall, long. They have all the shots at both the kitchen line and the baseline. So they are going to be a handful. This might be just like the midseason tournament, and wouldn't that be fantastic?
I mean, selfishly, I kind of hope that it is. And these challenger teams, not just playing for the season title, which is obviously a big deal, but they're also playing for promotion to the premier level. News was announced earlier this season that the winner of the challenger level championship will earn promotion, to the premier level in 2026. And if you're the Las Vegas Night Owls, it just means a little bit more. They were one match away from earning promotion last season, but they fell in the first round of the Dallas playoffs. Can we have a redemption story for the Night Owls? We will see.
Yeah, we just might. I mean, I think they're the favorite, but can they deliver? That's why we play the games.
And so a lot of games, as you say, that's why we play the games. You know, so much to look forward to this weekend in New York. Pickleball TV is going to have it all, Dave, but where else can you find all the action?
Big news, baby. We're going to be on national CBS. So what match is it going to be, you might ask me? Well, I'll tell you what it's going to be, one of a couple things. If either of the premier matchups goes to a third, it will absolutely be that. If both of the semifinals and premier are 2-0 sweeps, which will take place on Friday, then we will show the CBS audience the first match in the best 2 out of 3 match series in the finals. So either way, we're covered. It's going to be incredible. The other thing that's going to be incredible is the fan support for the Fives in New York. They are going to absolutely overtake Central Park with their red noses and their big shoes, and they're counting to 5. They may have that slight advantage, and we've talked about all the dream breakers, razor thin margins, just having all of them on top of you as the opponent. That could be the difference. So the 5s might just be exactly where they wanted, and the Big Apple is going to get turned into Clown Town.
And you could not ask for a better way to end the Major League Pickleball season. And that is going to do it for this edition of Inside Major League Pickleball. Champions will be crowned this weekend, so make sure you turn into Pickleball TV and CBS National on Saturday to see who takes home the hardware. For Dave Fleming, I'm Will Daughton. Thanks so much, as always, for watching.